We've made it to Malmo, Sweden. It's a fast journey by train over this marvelous Osand Bridge to the beautiful city of Malmo. From the glorious castles to its sleek and modern architecture, Malmo feels special. Here I am in the town center. What a great day that was. From the lush royal gardens and the castle to the city's hidden cannons and, well, even this lady. I truly enjoyed the 750-year-old city and what it had. But the true beauty of this third largest city in Sweden are its culinary treasures. Get a load of those pastries. And the traditional warm, spiced Swedish meatballs with lingonberries and home mashed potato. And if you're a salmon lover, you've got to head to Sweden. Just look at those rich and beautiful Atlantic salmon fillets prepared in so many ways. But, well, back to the pastries. The pastries were everywhere in Malmo, one more delicious than the next. But I found one called kardemummakaka, a deliciously warm cardamom cake like nothing I had ever had. Let's bake this together and you'll see what I'm talking about. I really did enjoy my day in Sweden. It's really a lovely country. And while I didn't see a whole lot of it, the truth is, I'll go back and bring you some more experiences. One thing I do remember from the beautiful city of Malmo was the pastries. And the pastries stick out in your head because you can't avoid them. They are everywhere and they're beautiful. Of course, that part of the world, both Denmark and Sweden, are very well known for doing some of the most lovely and beautiful pastries. But today we're going to do a little bit of a cardamom cake out of Sweden, and I think you're really going to enjoy it because it is different. It doesn't really have a very North American or American flavor to it because of the cardamom. Cardamom is now one of my biggest freaky things. I love to find all kinds of ways to use it now that I visited the country, came back, and I want to use more of it because it's really, really great. If you don't know me, I'm Mark Palladini. This is my channel. On your mark, on your mark. So please, I am here to bring you the best travel and food and kitchen experiences. We need to get back to our kitchens, kind of dig in cooking. You're going to love when you really make something with your hands. It just turns out a better experience for everybody. So let's get cooking again. So subscribe, and make sure that you like and share this video so that we can keep it going. We can keep getting great experiences. So on to the kardemummakaka. I know that to the American ear that doesn't sound so great. So look at a long and whatnot. But the truth is, it just means a Swedish cardamom cake. And cardamom does have a unusual profile to it. I'm going to show it to you here. So cardamom tends to come in ground, and most recipes will tell you, oh, buy the whole seed and then grind it yourself. And would I suggest that? Absolutely. But I always want to be real with you on the channel. I don't want you going out and buying all kinds of different equipment like a spice grinder and trying to find whole cardamom. So can you use just the pre-ground cardamom in this? Absolutely. The smell of cardamom is very unusual. It has a rather exotic smell. I liken it to like an Earl Grey tea. So imagine this cake with a coffee or tea. It just pairs beautifully. It also goes with fruit and all kinds of other stuff. Wait till you see the finished cake. Let's look at our ingredients. It's a pretty simple cake. We have, of course, the melted butter. This is about 1 1/3 cup melted butter. We also have 3 eggs. We have 2 1/4 cups of all-purpose flour. Now I've put this into a sifter and I've sifted some of it already, so we'll get to that when we get there. 3/4 cup of milk, about 3/4 cup of sugar. I have this little pat of butter because we're going to butter our pans with it. And then breadcrumbs. You're going to really find this is like one of the most fascinating things about this recipe. We're going to line the pans with breadcrumbs, and really what that's going to do is it's going to give us tiny bit of a crunch. So you don't want, and I've spoken about breadcrumbs before, where you don't really need to go out and buy them. The panko breadcrumbs aren't really good for this recipe because what you want the breadcrumbs to do is kind of produce like a small layer at the bottom and kind of have almost like a crunch layer at the bottom of the cake. So, well, it does help to release the cake from the pan. The truth is, we also are using it for a little bit of texture as well. So, really interesting and beautiful technique. We also have some baking powder, of course, the cardamom, half a teaspoon of salt. And then this is going to be to top the cake later. It's just powdered sugar with some more cardamom that we'll mix. I'm going to put that aside. I'm going to put most of these things aside so we have some room to work here. So the first thing I'm going to do is mix my dry ingredients. And that is, of course, the rest. And so sifting. So do you have to sift dry ingredients? Generally, some people say yes, some people say no. Julia Child actually said that she wasn't a huge fan of sifting because she found that the flour that we have today, the all-purpose flour, pretty much was sifted on its own. I also find that sometimes baking powder doesn't sift as well in these sifters, so you kind of have to get your hands in there and break up some of those hard particles. But that's really what you want it sifted for. Once that's done, the salt can go in and the cardamom can go in, and you just mix it. Like most cakes, this is you mix your dry ingredients and then you mix your wet ingredients and you bring them together. So that's our dry ingredients all ready to go. Before we mix our wet, I'm going to simply line these pans. And I'm using two small pans. This recipe will make one 9-inch pan or two small pans like this. This is 6.5. So I'm going to take our butter, and this is just this is unmelted butter, of course. And I'm just going to rub that with my hands all along the inside of these pans. And it doesn't have to be perfect, even, just as long as it coats and covers. Do the other one. Now, this can actually be a layered cake too. So if you wanted to do this as a layered cake, you can do that just like I'm doing here. So you can two smaller ones and then push them up on each other so that it builds. You can build like a regular cake as well. Beautiful. Next are breadcrumbs, and I know this is so unusual. And again, I said in the past, I've always mentioned, I say, don't go out and buy breadcrumbs unless you need them very specifically for panko or something like that. But the truth is, these breadcrumbs will work great. All I'm doing is I'm tapping it around the side of the pan like that. This is going to produce that little bit of texture that we so want. And if there's a little extra, just kind of dump them out. Do pan number 2. Okay. Easy, huh? This one's got a little bit more in there. So these are ready to go. Place these aside. Next, we're going to mix our wet ingredients in the electric mixer here. And I know you really can't see inside, but you're at least going to see me put the ingredients inside. So we're going to start, of course, with our eggs and sugar. So 3 eggs, room temperature eggs, really important here, folks, because we don't want the coldness of the egg to interfere or to clog up the butter. And so you need to have your eggs room temperature. If they're not, and you're anxious to make this, you can easily just put them in a little bit of warm water, not hot, warm water. And then sugar. And I'm using a little bit of a brown natural sugar, not brown sugar, but I'm using a natural sugar. But the plain white sugar is fine too. Just going to turn this on. Get those mixed in. Now this mixer gets a little loud, so I'm not going to fight it. I'm just going to raise my voice and hope you can hear me on this. Once your eggs and sugar are mixed, you just don't want to hear the granules of sugar flying around in there. You're going to put in your milk and the butter. That is, of course, pre-melted butter that is not hot. You're not going to put hot butter in this because it'll cook your eggs. So you can microwave your butter, but just go ahead and then afterwards cool it down before you do this. Turn this up real quick, get those mixed together, and that's it. So now you have, like many cakes, you have your dry ingredients, you have your wet ingredients, and now you're just going to put them together and get them baking. This is the point. You want to preheat your oven to 350. You never want to really put a cake in an oven without it being to at least half or more to the temperature that you need. So very easily, we're going to take this off, take our wet ingredients, and we're going to take a whip. We're going to start to fold in our dry ingredients. And you can do this all at once, but the truth is I like to do it in a couple stages. And this batter is going to be fairly thick, almost like a pancake batter, a little bit even thicker. And if you think it's too thick, then you can merely add a little bit more milk. But this looks pretty good. It should stick to your whisk and fall off in large kind of clumps. That way you kind of know the texture. Here we go. Take your pan. We're almost done with this, right? I'm going to take my wooden spatula. I'm going to separate half this batter. I'm going to put it in the pan. Not going to worry about too much about this cake rises pretty high, so not going to worry too much about doing a perfect half and half separation, but certainly. So get it all. We don't want to waste it, of course. That's cool. Beautiful. Okay. Put that in. Now I have an offset spatula. That's the spatula with a little with the backwards bend in it. Just gonna smooth this out into our pan. Now these are going to be fairly thin. If you wanted to make it a little thicker, that's fine. But this cake does rise quite a bit. So and you just kind of smooth these out into your pan. You can do this with a rubber spatula, but this guy makes it a little easier. And then we're going to put them in the oven. That really couldn't be more simple. As long as you have all your ingredients measured out, ready to go, this cake does its business. I'm just going to go around, smooth this out, go around. You're going to love the breadcrumbs in this. Makes it really kind of have an unusual kick to it. Terrific. And this is going to go in the oven. Now these bake, if they're thin like this, they're going to bake probably for about a half an hour, maybe even a little less. If it's a bigger, thicker cake, then you would need to do it for about 40 minutes. That seems like a long time, but you can keep checking it every, I don't know, 20 minutes or so. You want to take a toothpick, drive it in the middle, not the edge, the middle, pull it out. And if it's clean, the cake is done. Of course, you also want to make sure that you're not burning it. So do check it about every 20 minutes. The layers I like it a little thinner because that's the way I saw it in Sweden. So the layers I have probably won't take very long at all. Finally, we're going to mix your little powdered sugar with a little bit more cardamom. Just mix this in. And when we come back and with the finished cake, we're going to use this to top it. Easy, huh? Cardamom. I love cardamom. Who would have thought that a spice that most people have actually heard of it, but never really used it or never really understood it. I think it's kind of a misunderstood spice. I think you're going to love it. I know they love it in Sweden, and I think you're going to love it even more. We're going to come back with the finished cake, so stay tuned. It is out of the oven, cooled. I dusted it with some of that beautiful powdered sugar and cardamom, and it is done. It's great. My whole kitchen smells crazy, amazing of cardamom. Now, again, this is the thinner version, like I saw in Sweden, but you can also double up that batter and make it thicker too. It is, we're going to taste it now. It has a slight crunch to it, which is nice, but definitely a nice soft mix as well. Got a little platter here with some fresh berries and Kalamamakata. Beautiful stuff. I'm going to taste it now for you because, after all, you got to taste it. Actually, you're going to love this. This is terrific with in the morning with a little bit of tea or coffee, especially a strong coffee. Really nice. Again, you want a thicker cake, you double up the batter. I like it thin like this because I think it really brings out the cardamom. But let's give it a taste. I'm hoping this tastes like the one I had in Malmo. Mm, I love that spice. Again, it kind of has a Earl Grey flavor on it, a little bit of citrusy. So if you're not into that, you can definitely replace this with nutmeg or cinnamon. But there are a lot of nutmeg and cinnamon cakes out there. This particular cake is special, unique, and very Swedish. Thanks for joining me today, and I hope that you try this recipe at home. If you don't, then you got to get to Sweden and try it there. All right, we'll see you next time. Again, subscribe and like the channel. Ciao.